Hello everybody and welcome back to Odin's Movie Vlog. I am the critic who is a cynic. Hope you're doing well, and today we've got some news coming from Bounding Into Comics from our boy J.B. Augustin over there, who's talking about a rumor going around that not only is Henry Cavill expected to come back as Superman, but also the Supergirl movie that was in the works has apparently been canceled. Now, of course, this is in rumor territory, so please take it with a grain of salt. All of these things could easily change down the road. Of course, I think most of us would love to see Henry Cavill come back as the role of Superman because he hasn't really been given a great chance to shine in that role. Despite what you might think of the various films that were put forward by Zack Snyder, I myself was not a huge fan of them. I think most of us can agree that even if we enjoyed those films or enjoyed the vision of Zack Snyder, that he has still very much not reached the peak performance in the role of Superman and has very many films ahead of him, as long, of course, as the studio will keep him on, and I know most of us hope for, at least for when it comes to Supergirl. The only thing that we really have in connection to Supergirl in this universe is, of course, the CW TV series, or rather the TV series that started off on one station and then got moved to another station because the ratings weren't doing very well, and somehow, some way, it has continued to do, it's continued to have season after season, and it just really has fallen off the wayside. I remember watching that first season. That actually wasn't really that bad. Again, it wasn't perfect, but it wasn't terrible, and then every single after that, it just seemed to get worse and worse, and there was an entire season where the first 4 episodes were focused on the wedding that her sister, her adopted sister, or rather, she was the adopted one, but basically that her sister, I'm trying to think of the word for it, but I can't at the moment, but basically her sister's wedding, and that's what it was focused on for 4 episodes, and I'm like, wait a minute, why are you focusing on this? Oh wait, that's right, because her sister was marrying another woman, and so they had to focus on that for 4 episodes, and then eventually the actress that played the person that her sister was going to marry left the show, and so they had to say, oh, I guess we have to tell the story about Supergirl again, and that's pretty much when I shut off and stopped watching, and I've heard that it just hasn't really gotten all that much better. But let's dive into this article here. It says, we mentioned the Supergirl film supposedly in development at Warner Brothers in our story about Batwoman and the CW Supergirl's ratings. The production may be off the table now, but there's more. Henry Cavill could return to action. A rumor from Heroic Hollywood and an exclusive source of theirs claims Supergirl's big screen return is on hold until Warner Brothers figures out what to do with Superman in a post-Justice League climate. This just makes a lot of sense to me, because why would you go ahead with a Supergirl film when you really haven't had all that much success with Superman in the first place? Again, you look to Justice League especially. That film was essentially a financial loss with how much money it cost them to both make that movie, for it to be produced, for it to be marketed, and they only made around $600 million after that fact, and they only get about 60% of that number anyway, and so that movie was a financial loss for them, and so why would they continue to go forward bringing in new characters in the DC Universe if they really haven't gotten a hold of everything else since then? Obviously, we can talk about how Aquaman was definitely a step in the right direction. Shazam, I think, was the best film that we've really gotten from the DC EU at this point in time, which is why that one's already getting a sequel. But we really haven't heard that much more about what's going to be the future of the Batman series, what's going to be the future of Superman in this universe, because obviously we have the standalone Batman film coming out, but that one is pretty clearly not going to be in the official DCEU, but instead is going to be its own solo film or its own solo universe. There's been rumors that it could potentially connect to Joker. I just have some doubts about that, because Joker very seemingly was a one-and-done film, even though I personally would love for those 2 films to exist in the same universe. Even if you don't bring Joaquin Phoenix back as Joker, if you even have a reference to the original film and Joker, I think that could be pretty damn cool. But you really need to start getting the DCEU back on track. Many people expected rather that they were going to have that happen in the upcoming Flash film, which was set around the Flashpoint storyline, but that has pretty much been up in the air, and there's been some delays on that project. And so I agree with this move on their part, that you want to get Superman going forward. You want to get that role correct. Okay, and obviously we have Wonder Woman 1984 coming up, and I think Wonder Woman is a great property for them, but when you talk about Justice League, when you talk about DC Comics, there's 2 characters that always come up, and that is Batman and Superman. You have both of those characters are always at the forefront. Wonder Woman, I would say, is right up there too, in as like in that 3rd position. So therefore, you really do need to have Superman handled, and I think in order to do that, bringing back Henry Cavill to be that role, I think, would be the best thing going forward. Let's see. It says, it suggests that the studio is listening to fans who vocally want Cavill back and have since Superman's cameo in Shazam that was intended for the Witcher actor. Cavill made it rather clear multiple times he wants to stay in the role. In fact, he knows what story he'd like to adapt. During a live stream leading up to the release of Mission Impossible Fallout, he pointed to the 2005 story Superman for Tomorrow by Brian Azzarello, Jim Lee, and Scott Scott Williams. He said at the time, "There's a lot of weight to it. I don't know if it's the exact one I'd make a movie out of, but I definitely take the tones from it. You really get an insight into Superman's mind. He talks to a priest a lot, and you see him trying to save the world in literally the most magnificent of ways." That is just so damn cool. I always love hearing Henry Cavill talk about the roles that he's associated with or things he's passionate about, because this dude's a nerd. This dude plays video games. This dude understands the concept and understands the lore. This guy obviously reads comics. And that's so refreshing when we live in a world where there's been actors and actresses come out saying, "Oh yeah, I haven't read the source material, but I'm still going to take on the role, and I'm going to put my own spin on it." And you think to yourselves, wait a minute, no, this is supposed to be grounded and rooted in the world that it was built on. So having someone like Henry Cavill, I think, is so important for the role of Superman, because he actually gives a damn. He actually wants to give a good performance. And if I can say anything positive about those Zack Snyder films, he wasn't the problem. Henry Cavill did a great job. Even when they totally butchered the CGI and tried to take off his mustache and that damn footage from Justice League, they still did, it still was good enough to the point of them being able to make it all work, because Henry Cavill's performance was able to get through even that CGI mess. So let's go ahead and continue going forward. Announced in 2018, Supergirl was slated to begin filming this year. Prevailing wisdom was it would softly reboot and recast Big Blue himself. David Corenswet was a name that often came up. Obviously, the beer bug turned the world upside down, but it sounds like Supergirl was in trouble. Regardless, the first sign it was on hold was Michael Shannon, taken by surprise by the idea when interviewed in Australia recently, unsure if he'd play Zod again. He said, "Wow, that's interesting. I swear to God, I'm not kidding. You are breaking this news to me. I will have to look into that. Zod again? I don't know. It's been a while. I'm a little older and creakier now. I'm not sure I could do it all the moves." And that just reminds me of one of the biggest issues I have with Man of Steel, is the fact that you had Michael Shannon, who I love as an actor, coming in to play the role of Zod, doing a great job, and then he's one and done after that first film. I think that was a bad move on Zack Snyder's decisions, and that's one of the many reasons why I don't like the world that he built overall. According to HH, the flick might have been a prequel to Man of Steel as opposed to a standalone adventure with Brainiac as the villain. Questions would have arisen as to why then Earthlings remained in the dark about aliens and godlike beings in the 2010s, especially when an open Kryptonian pod could be evidence Kara is out there somewhere, not letting her cousin or Justice League know. That is definitely some problems. Henry Cavill's fate could hinge on Dwayne Johnson, who we reported once Cavill in Shazam and Black Adam sequels, to slug it out with Kondok's magical anti-hero and ruler. The two share management in Johnson's ex-wife, Dani Garcia. We'll see where this goes, but as Cavill told Men's Health, we can count on him to be all in. I have not given up the role. There's a lot I have to give for Superman yet, a lot of storytelling to do, a lot of real, true depths to the honesty of the character I want to get into. I want to reflect the comic books. That's important to me. There's a lot of justice to be done for Superman. The status is, you'll see. Boom, once again, that makes me so freaking happy. And not to mention, it makes me happy to know that Dwayne Johnson's on his side too, because as we all know, The Rock Dwayne Johnson right now is probably one of the biggest stars in Hollywood. If anyone could have any sway with the studios to try and keep Henry on, it would be Dwayne Johnson. And not to mention having that connection with the management there, where both of them are being managed by the same person, I think could also be a benefit to them in the future. And again, having Henry Cavill coming into Shazam 2 or coming into Black Adam and being involved with these characters, when you see it very clearly there, he wants to dive further into the character. He wants to, as he says there, reflect the comic books. Like, that's the reason why Henry Cavill, to me, is such a refreshing voice, because he doesn't say, "Oh, I want to put my own spin on it," or, "Oh, I want to put this politics into it," or, "I want to put this modern day spin on it." He just says, "No, I want to be true to the comics." Obviously, it's going to be his own portrayal because he is his own actor, but the fact that he wants to base the performance and base his role off of source material is just so damn refreshing. For any Star Wars fans out there, for any fans of comics out there, I think all of us can kind of connect with it in the current modern day climate of terrible Star Wars movies, terrible comic book adaptations, and all the crap that goes on. But Winnie, what are your thoughts about this? Do you think that we will see Henry Cavill come back as Superman? Dear Lord, I hope so. Lord knows the fans want it. Lord knows he wants it. So as long as the studio wants it, we will probably end up getting it. And do you care at all for a Supergirl movie? Again, I think that for us, getting that Supergirl series, which has just been very cringe, basically since the beginning, but especially season 2 onward. And that's, I just want to say right off the bat that I don't think it's the actress's fault at all. I actually really like that actress playing Supergirl. I think that she does a fine job with the role. I think that she's I think that she's a fine actress. It's obviously the writing that is the biggest problem there, when they try to put in all this identity politics, whether it's immigration, whether it's LGBTQ, AIP, whatever the numbers are, whatever the letters are these days. That is what has really weighed the show down, not necessarily her performance. It was Melissa Benoist who plays that character. So I think that having a movie rendition of that character when you don't have really a firmly set, great Superman movie. Again, some people might say it's Man of Steel. I personally don't. I think there's too many flaws with that movie. But to set up at least one great film with Henry Cavill as the role, and I would say a plethora of future films with Henry Cavill as Superman, would be the best thing for this universe going forward. And I know that for me and my money, I will be much more likely to see anything that you have going forward with Henry Cavill as in the role and him baby being opposite the likes of Dwayne Johnson than you trying to bring in somebody else and doing your own modern day spin on the role. But what are your thoughts about this? Let me know in the comment section below. If you like this video, smash that like button, hit that subscribe, also hit that bell notification. That way you know every time a new video or live stream goes up. You are all amazing and beautiful people. Check out the channel in the next couple of days, because I will be having a review of, as everything's getting caught up, a 4K edition of Sonic the Hedgehog. So shout out to Paramount for sending this my way to review. So once I have the ability to watch all of the special features, I've already seen the film once, so as long as I'm able to see those special features and watch it again, I will then come with a review of this. This is going to be released on May 19th if you want your own edition. What is cool is that this limited edition 4K comes with a comic book, not a very long one, but still a comic book nonetheless. Always got to get those extra features, and potentially a review of this little collection right here. I've already seen the first Battle Royale movie. Basically, think of Hunger Games, but this was before Hunger Games, and this is better than Hunger Games, and a lot more blood, a lot more adult. It's really fantastic. Japanese film. I've seen the theatrical edition. This has the director's cut, which I cannot wait to see. It also has the second film, which I hear is not as good as the first film, but still set in the same universe, and it's a few years later, and I think that's cool that they're bringing back certain characters and certain arcs, and I cannot wait to watch it. So thank you so much for your attention. Have a wonderful day, and as always, God bless. And now a huge shout out to my May Patreon and Subscribe Star members: Albertus Magnus, Animation Commentator Brian P, Dion, Divex, Enrique Evangelista, Father Christopher Miller, hail to you, Father, Frank the Tank and the Shawhan Weeder Dog Clan, Harold Francis, the Hunker Chunker Funker Monkey, Inflamed Wood, It's a Trap Productions, Jason Clark, Jeffrey Toon, Kenneth Camiel, Lady T, Laura Story, Mad Mitch Dunaway, Mike Jackson, Mr. Peabody and his evil twin with the beautiful hair, Orange Hat Reviews, Outpost Dyer, Out of Step with Reality, Riff Magos, Rosetta Allen, Steve Glasker, Teresa Martin, Theodore Bendon, Tina Bojan, The DJD Show, and Tina B. Thank you all for being my Patreon members, and a shout out to my Subscribe Star peeps: John B, Perpetual Punster, Robert Revo, Mr. Roy, Glinzer, G2 Cool 99, Darkstar 57, J. Alex McCarthy Jr., US 888209 Fast, Dean Heiss, Harold Francis, J. Rod the Beer Guru, Nevadon G. Adams, and ZK Man. And a special shout out to David Bobrizik and Edgardo Martinez. I'm going to leave that pause there just in case anyone decides to join for the month of May, because you can indeed join on Patreon or Subscribe Star at any time this month to be eligible for any of the perks. They include access to an exclusive podcast that I do with John, the Flick Pick of John Flickinger's fame, so make sure you go ahead and check that out at the $10 and up level. Also, if you Subscribe Star or Patreon at $5 or up, you have access to exclusive giveaways of 4K movies, digital films, and a bunch of other stuff in between as well. And if anything, you could at least give just anything that you really want to help support the channel, and it would really help me out a lot. Keeps the lights on, makes me able to continue to do this kind of stuff. So anything you possibly give, check out some more information in the description of the Patreon, Subscribe Star, and of course YouTube membership links as well. You guys are all amazing and beautiful people. Have a wonderful day, and as always, God bless.